So again, I ask, let me discover my own blocks to love, that I may joyously and gratefully let them go. And then I've written, we ask and we receive. It's that simple. So as I continue reading what I wrote that day, now I seem to be in a different place. It seems that I noticed filters that could be called desires. I had a desire to teach, a desire to publish the interpretations. At this time, what was still being written was the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, but I used to just call it the New Testament interpretations before it had a title. So I was seeing a desire to publish the interpretations, a desire to be right, specific desires for specific outcomes in specific situations. All desires had to be seen and let go so that I could hold to the singular desire for God, or what I would call as the desire for awakening. I now hold in my heart that I want only to know thyself, and I give all else to the Holy Spirit, which leads me through my one true desire. It's a state of watching, trusting, and being willing. So, again, as I mentioned just before we went into this message, I was guided back in November of 2004 to start writing with Holy Spirit and to start sharing what I write. Teaching what I write specifically is what I was asked to do, to teach what I write. And that was very pure guidance. It came from a very pure place, and I followed it in purity. But what we can see started to happen is, for lack of better words, and I don't mean it judgmentally, but some impurity began to get into this purpose of writing, teaching, sharing. I began to find a desire in my mind to post. I talked about that just a little bit ago when I said that specialness was in my mind. So I would post and then look to see what people had to say about my post. Looking for that comment. I wanted to be glorified. I went through a phase of wanting to be glorified. So I wanted to post. I wanted to teach. I wanted to publish. And it's interesting that before these desires became apparent, I prayed a prayer, a sincere, pure prayer that said, help me to discover the obstacles to love's presence that are in my mind. And then 2, without knowing why, I was guided to stop posting. And what's interesting is even though I had the desire at that time that wasn't yet recognized, the desire to post, the desire to be seen, I did follow the guidance and stop posting. And so during this period then of not posting, what happened is I began to notice this desire. And I don't remember this specifically, but I'm going to guess that I probably noticed through the guidance of not posting how much I wanted to post. When Spirit said, okay, don't do this for a time, what I saw in me was a strong wanting to do it anyway. And that would have made me aware then of the desire that I didn't see. So, I became aware of my desire then to post, my desire to teach, my desire to publish, my desire to be right. How sometimes we get into those discussions on the peace of God, who's right, how to interpret this in A Course in Miracles, what does this really mean? I wanted to present my perspective of what something meant, and I wanted to be right. I was noticing all of this through the process of not posting, through the process of not participating in it. I began to see how much I, the little I, wanted to do all of that. So I said, now I seem to be in a different place. It seems that I notice filters that could be called desires. I had a desire to teach, a desire to publish the interpretations, a desire to be right, specific desires for specific outcomes in specific situations. All desires had to be seen and let go so that I could hold to the singular desire for God. I now hold in my heart that I want only to know thyself, and I give all else to the Holy Spirit. I give all else to the Holy Spirit, which would explain why the guidance not to post went away, and I began to be guided to post again, because my mind became right again. I began to not care whether I posted or not posted, taught or not taught, published or not published. I began to only want to awaken. And all of the rest of that stuff was incidental and totally up to Holy Spirit. Not important to me at all.